What's up, guys? I've been hinting about making this video for a little while, and I wanted to address the fact that I bought a new car. A lot of people have been asking me why I did it, why did I get what I got, etc. For those of you who have no idea who I am, or you're new to my channel or whatever, the car I had before this was a 1997 Mercury Grand Marquis, and at the time it was the newest car I've ever owned. Before that, I had a Trans Am that was a 95. Before that, I had it was like a 1989 or 90 Honda CRX with a B16 swap. Oh wow, someone else has my same license plate. I don't know if you can see it, but it's the first car I've ever seen that has the Guy Harvey license plate. I got the, I'll show you the plate later, but I got it because it's the first license plate I've ever seen that I was like, that's a damn good looking license plate, honestly. I got a custom one coming. So what I ended up buying was a 2013 Lexus ES300h. I skipped an entire decade of automobiles. This thing is, let me do math right quick. This thing is like 16 years newer than my last car, I think. Yeah, so this is 16 years newer than the newest car I have ever owned. I don't know if you guys have ever read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, but one of the things they suggest in there is not buying expensive automobiles because it's a depreciating asset. They consider it a liability and not an asset. So I always thought that until I could afford to buy something outright, it didn't make sense to get another loan again. Plus, you know, being an actor and a comedian, your income is very inconsistent. Some months you might be doing great, other months, nah, not so well. The thing that made me decide to get this is actually my brother. My brother bought a Prius, and I could never see myself driving a Prius until we went to the gas pump, and he put $20 in his Prius and was going to get 500 and something, like 550 miles on that tank of gas, and I put $48 into my Grand Marquis, and I was going to get about 280. So I was going to get about half the mileage he was getting, but it was going to cost me twice as much, which means that my mileage was costing me 4 times as much as his. So I was like, all right, let me look into this a little further. So I started looking at hybrid options. Now, the motor that's in this car is the same motor that's in the Camry hybrids. The Camry is the car that the cab company uses for their taxis now. And I started talking to the mechanics at the cab company, and they said there's virtually no maintenance to do on this thing aside from oil changes. There's no belts, there's none of that. So even the brake pads are good for at least 300,000 miles. The car slows down using the electric motor. It applies a force to it to slow down the drivetrain. So the brake pedal feels a little weird in this. It's not like the normal brake pedal feel on a car. That took some getting used to, for sure. So I did some math. My car was averaging about 17 miles to the gallon, real world, and this thing was rated for 40 miles to the gallon highway and 39 miles to the gallon city, 40 miles to the gallon average. So I did some math. Over the course of 100,000 miles, just the fuel difference alone between the Grand Marquis and this car, I would save $9,000. I could also drive Uber and Lyft and drive the fancier ones like Lux or Select. So I figured over the course of 100,000 miles, this thing will pay for itself, number one. It's a little bit more luxurious than the Grand Marquis. A little bit, it's got a sunroof. About the only thing that's nicer about the Grand Marquis than this is the sound system. That Grand Marquis had a badass sound system in it. But, you know, that'll come with time. So I decided, you know, to look for one. I found a a relatively inexpensive example, I got this thing for a little under $16,000. It was like 15,800 bucks or something like that, 15,500, somewhere in there, and plus tax tag, title, etc. I wanted to get it for 17 out the door, and that's what I got it for. So it's the most expensive car I've ever bought by far. I've had to go back and forth to Atlanta several times for auditions, or I drive all over the country doing shows. Very frequently I would go to the Midwest with my Grand Marquis, and that would be 7,000, 8,000 miles of driving. That can make the difference between a gig being profitable or not. Is just going from 17 miles to the gallon to 40. Now, my real world fuel economy in this thing tends to be around about the 36.5 miles per gallon mark. Sometimes I've been able to get it over 40 if I'm doing long treks on the highway with cruise control on and I set it to something low. But realistically, I'm getting it right around 37 miles to the gallon. So that's 20 miles a gallon more than I was getting with the Grand Marquis. I'd say that's a good step up. I've been driving Uber and Lyft just on a part-time basis. Whenever I don't have shows on a weekend, it's another way I can make some easy money. You have to drive 75 rides with Uber before you can drive their fancier platforms. I just hit that this weekend. So yesterday I did exclusively Lyft Lux and Uber Select, and I did just fine. Worked like, I don't know, 3 hours, 4 hours, and made like 120 bucks, something like that. Not bad. I only worked like the busy bar rush, and I had fine. I worked from, I guess it might have been 4 hours. I worked from like 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock at night until like 2. The one thing I have found with driving Uber and Lyft is people aren't used to a car like this. I wasn't used to a car like this when I got in it. So like the AC works like it does in a house. You set it to a temperature and it works to try to get to that temperature. So the entire car is, 71 degrees or whatever, which is what I typically have it set on. And then people get in the car and like, why don't you have the AC on? Because they're expecting it to be blowing in their face at a certain temperature, as opposed to a climate control system, which is what's in this car. And I've never seen one that actually functioned and worked well, and this one does. People get in and slam the doors. I mean, I don't know. I've found that a lot less when I'm driving the luxury tiers. People tend to treat the car better. Not everyone. Most people are respectful, but there's, certain few that do. Oh, wow. That's beautiful. Like a, I don't know, 53 Caddy or something. I mean, overall, I'm enjoying the car. It's got a sunroof. I've always wanted a car with a sunroof, and now I have one. So, I don't know. I like it. I dig it. I'm excited to have it. There was a time, just a few years back, it's probably like 4 years back, when I had 22 dates canceled. Maybe 24. Between 22 and 24 shows canceled. Some of those were like one nights. Some of them were, 5 shows in a weekend. Whatever they were. I had 22 dates canceled between October and I think the end of January, so like the beginning of February. And for those few months, I was like destitute because I didn't have a secondary source of income. If you get a show canceled, week of, replacing that is impossible. And it was various things. I got double booked, meaning that they had booked another comic along with me, or they were confused, or the club that I was scheduled to work at closed, or what have you. Any one of a number of different things happened, leading to, you know, all those shows getting canceled. And I never wanted that to happen to me again. I always wanted to try to have another source of income, and it just seemed like getting this car would hit all those marks. So if I needed to work Uber or Lyft, I could, you know, if I had a cancellation, or if I needed to do something like, you know, I don't know, just getting better gas mileage to shows. It seemed like every possible benefit, it just seemed like there was too many benefits to not get this car, and I really like it. The only problem I have is I park it under a tree and it gets dirty the next day. Like, if I just washed it so I can show you guys the outside of it, it's going to be dirty tomorrow morning, unquestionably. It's going to look like I haven't washed it in a month. Anyway, hope you guys like this. If you're new to the channel, my name's Adam. I'm a traveling comedian and an actor. Check out the other videos on my channel. I got one where I got my very first residual check. Check that out. Check out the video where I paid the tolls for 50 people. Check out the video where I'm doing my very first theater with Felipe Esparza. Alright, hope you guys dig it. I'll chat with you later. Have a good day.